Hello and welcome to the 5 Minute Film Club and to the 25th official James Bond film, No Time to Die. It's here, I've made it. Quite how I have, I don't know. But anyway, if you haven't seen the film, please go and watch it because I will be talking about absolutely everything in this film, everything that happens at the end, spoilers everywhere. So go and watch the film, then come back and watch my review. But for everybody who's watched it, let's head on in to No Time to Die. The film starts with a young Madeleine Swann at home with her mother when a man in a white mask arrives to kill her father, Mr. White. This man isn't Michael Myers, but is instead Lucifer Safin? I think I said that very badly, but anyway, a survivor of a poisoning attack that Mr. White carried out against his family at the request of Spectre. Safin is now out for revenge against Mr. White and instead at his home finds Madeleine's mother and decides to kill her, and before he can actually get round to killing Madeleine, she shoots him. But like Michael Myers, he survives and chases her across the ice, at which point Madeleine falls through the ice, and then we suspect that she is actually saved by Safin. As we jump forward to the end of Spectre and James Bond and Madeleine, played again by Lea Seydoux and Daniel Craig, a holiday in Matera. Bond is there to visit Vesper's grave, but while he is at the grave, it explodes, and Bond suspects that Madeleine has in fact betrayed him to Spectre. He's angry and deserts her on a train. We then jump 5 years and Bond has retired from the service and his 007 designation has been reassigned to an agent called Naomi, played by Lashana Lynch. There is also something shady going on at MI6 as M, played by Ralph Fiennes, has developed along with a Russian scientist Valdo Obruchev a biological weapon called Project Heracles that can be used to encode a virus with a specific person's DNA, meaning it's harmless to everyone other than the intended target. Well, the bad news for M is that Obruchev is kidnapped by Spectre along with Project Heracles. In Jamaica, a retired Bond meets up with old friend and CIA agent Felix Leiter, played by returning Jeffrey Wright. Leiter asks Bond to help the CIA get hold of Obruchev, and Bond agrees and sets off to Cuba to meet with new CIA agent called Paloma, played wonderfully by Ana de Armas. When looking for Obruchev, they stumble upon a Spectre party where there is a bionic eye on a pillow being carried around. I'm sure at that moment you're going, what? Well, it's one of my favourite moments in the film. So what you have is Bond and the CIA agent go in and there's all these Spectre people. It's kind of like a weird orgy going on, almost like something from Eyes Wide Shut or something. And being carried around on a little velvet cushion is a bionic eye that's actually Blofeld. So this is Blofeld's birthday party that we're at, and he's planned something for Bond, and he's got Bond's DNA. He's asked Obruchev to create a virus that will just kill Bond at Blofeld's birthday party. However, we learn that Obruchev is actually working for Safin, and Safin has a big problem with Spectre. So there's a big switcheroo, and as the virus is released, Bond is unharmed, and instead it kills every single Spectre agent there. This film wipes out Spectre, a film after it just set it up. In the ensuing chaos, Naomi shows up to try and steal Obruchev from Bond, but Bond manages to get him back to Felix and another CIA agent called Logan. However, Logan turns out to be a double agent, and he kills Felix Leiter. When that happened, I was like, they're not messing around here. We've seen Felix Leiter get hurt, but like Bond, he's kind of unkillable. So at that point I was like, maybe Bond is not looking so good about getting out of this film alive. Anyway, Obruchev is then stolen again by this Logan, this kind of like Trump-era CIA person who actually works for Safin, and he's flown away and taken to Safin. At which point we get reintroduced to Safin, but it feels like a long time that we don't have Safin in this film. And then Rami Malek arrives as adult Safin, meeting with psychiatrist Madeleine Swann, who for some reason is Blofeld's only psychiatrist. Why she would accept it, even though apparently she's the only person that he'll speak to, why does she do it? Why does she say yes? There's a lot in this film to do with Rami Malek's character and Madeleine Swann that doesn't make a lot of sense. I feel like a lot of these scenes to do with Safin are on the cutting room floor, or, I've heard Rami Malek talk about them, improvising scenes. We're not improvising, but, sketching out new ways of portraying Safin as they were actually filming it. So I feel like a lot has changed since the character was first created to the version we get here in the final film. Anyway, Safin asks Madeleine to wear this perfume. The perfume is encoded with Blofeld's DNA that will kill him, and Blofeld then has a confrontation with Bond inside the cell. And again, I love this moment of the film. So the Cuba sequence is really great, and then I love how they reintroduce Blofeld. And even though Christoph Waltz is only in this one scene, he is far more menacing in this film than he is in the entirety of Spectre for me. The long and the short of the scene is the fact that the perfume is transferred from Madeleine to Bond, and then Bond transfers it to Blofeld, and Blofeld dies. So yet again we have another unkillable James Bond character being killed. Surely Bond can't be next. Bond then flees to Norway to meet Madeleine at her home, and while there he discovers a little girl, Madeleine's daughter Mathilde, who Madeleine insists isn't his, but as an audience, we all know she is. While there, they are attacked by Safin's men, and in another standout chase through some foggy forests in Norway, Madeleine and Mathilde are captured by Safin's people and brought to his abandoned World War II missile silo. Now here's another thing about Safin. I think that he was going to be Dr. No, and revealed as Dr. No at the end of the film. And I'm not sure at what point that was dropped. There are so many references to that first James Bond outing, from the opening credits with the dots that go across the screen, the whole nuclear kind of get-up that everybody's wearing when they're dealing with the biochemical weapons. The base that he has is very akin to Ken Adams' great set from Dr. No. And then at certain points he's actually called Doctor towards the end, and then also Bond breaks his arm. Again, that makes me think of Dr. No's metal hands. Everything is pointing to me to the conclusion that at some point, whether in the script or in the edit, they decided to move away from Dr. No and just create a character that was almost Dr. No. Then Safin says that he wants to release Heracles onto the world for some reason, just to play God, perhaps. Anyway, he reveals that Mathilde is Bond's daughter, and then Naomi shows up, aided by Q and M, to rescue them all. M instructs a missile strike on the silo, but they need the blast doors open, so Bond goes to do that as Mathilde and Madeleine escapes with Naomi. However, Safin closes them, and in a gunfight mortally wounds Bond, and Safin releases a special version of Heracles that is coded with Madeleine's DNA, which means that if Bond were ever to get out, he would never be able to touch his daughter or Madeleine ever again. Bond shoots Safin dead in a fit of rage, as he then makes his way to the top of the silo in order to reopen the doors, keeping them open, sacrificing himself to save the world. So just so you know, James Bond is dead, definitively. This film has obviously had a very checkered release schedule, down to COVID, and I think the anticipation for this film has been massive. The fact that it's Daniel Craig's final film, probably one of the best received Bonds, definitely in box office terms and fan reaction as well. Casino Royale, again, for me, the best James Bond film. So to see how they were going to end it was, really exciting to sit down. This is the first film that I'd seen in the cinema since the pandemic had started, and it was just great to see it with an audience that enjoyed it. And yeah, to see it opening night, just a great way for me to wrap up watching all of the Daniel Craigs in the cinema. This film also has the unenviable task of trying to tie up all of the previous 4 films, and all of those plot threads that were just left dangling, that Spectre did a really bad job of tying up, I think, by introducing more confusion. At least I can report that this is a lot better than Spectre was. And even though this film is long, it is the longest James Bond film. It has the longest opening pre-credit sequence as well, at something like 24 minutes. So bye-bye, the world is not enough. All the records have been shattered with the Daniel Craig era. We've had the shortest Bond, we've had the longest Bond. Everything has changed in the Daniel Craig era. I also think that director Cary Fukunaga brings a great sense of style and just a cohesion. I really see a singular vision in this, even though he was brought in after Danny Boyle, and I'm sure a script that had many people on board, including Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I'm guessing is the reason why we have Hugh Dennis as a cameo appearance in this film. I love the fact that Hugh Dennis from Outnumbered and everything else is in a huge blockbuster movie, and he's brilliant in his little part. It's great. But Cary Fukunaga came in, and this feels like one person's vision from start to finish, and he puts James Bond, Daniel Craig, at the centre of the story, the centre of this film. The detriment of making it so Bond-centric is the fact that the villain is completely pushed to the sidelines. Rami Malek really has nothing to do in this film, aside from the amazing opening of the film with the home invasion scene that is genuinely scary and made me jump. I think he can never live up to that. And so when he has the reintroduction, I don't find him menacing. I don't think he's doing enough to make me scared of him. Another bit that I love about the film is the score by Hans Zimmer. I'm glad that we've got somebody in who can add a bit of bombast back into the score, and I've listened to it a few times since watching the film, and it's great. And how his score melds with the sound design of the film is brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, especially the Cuba sequence. Listen to Cuba Chase on the soundtrack album. It's brilliant. It's exactly what I wanted from a Hans Zimmer James Bond score. And then finally, what do I make of the fact that they've killed James Bond? Well, I kind of knew the fact that they were going to, and my mind was all over the place while watching the film. Are they actually going to do it? Then Felix Leiter dies. Then Blofeld dies, and I'm like, if they're killing them, they can't not kill James Bond. And yet I was thinking, but you can't kill James Bond. And yet they do kill James Bond. And I think that is a really bold move. Not just for the story, but what it means for the future of the franchise. Once you do something like that, I don't know what other cards they've got left up their sleeve to surprise us with. Because that is the one thing that has kept this series going, is the fact that you do not kill James Bond. So now that they have, that's fine. Creative decisions, interesting. I think if they were going to ever kill a James Bond, it should be the Daniel Craig one, because he's brought an emotional weight to the character that just wasn't there before. He has felt more and emoted more and been more vulnerable than any of the other James Bonds at all. He's made him a three-dimensional character. But as to what happens next, I'm just not sure. I'm thinking that they will announce a James Bond sooner than we all think. Next year is the 60th anniversary of Bond, so maybe next year they will announce a new James Bond, and I think he'll probably be really young. I don't think it'll be a female Bond. I don't think they'll do that. I think they will keep the character of Naomi, possibly. And I really hope they keep Q and M and all of those people. I really hope we don't have to restart again and introduce all of those new people, because I think they're great. We've got a great cast of characters already built in to support a new, probably unknown actor as Bond, or relatively unknown actor as Bond. But that's all speculation. No Time to Die, I think, is a really great ending for Daniel Craig's Bond. And I think it's his third best. I think you go Casino Royale, then you go Skyfall, then No Time to Die, Quantum of Solace, and then Spectre. But that's it. I'm all done. That is James Bond, for the moment, done. And thank you very much for watching these nearly 30 videos that I've done on James Bond this year. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you to the new subscribers. Now I turn my attention to the Halloween franchise to finish that series off. Anyway, for James Bond, until he does return in the future, thank you very much, and goodbye.